I watch an ad or whatever we're talking about, like if they go off on a tangent of something that, I'm quickly lost. Right.
Right.
But what do you think makes effective messaging overall inside the videos and the content and stuff that you create for your clients?
I mean, I think the key to it all is knowing who your audience is and
Mhm.
making sure you're delivering messaging that is relevant to them, And I think one of the big mistakes that I see a lot of businesses fall into is they're actually creating content for themselves. They're creating content that they think is amazing and
Right.
that they think everybody else should think is amazing. And they
Yeah.
don't take the time to really understand their audience and what their audience is interested in and creating content for them.
No, I
And
agree.
I think that's the disconnect that I find with a lot of businesses. So when it comes to messaging, it's really understanding your audience and knowing the message that is going to really have relevance to them and move them to action and focusing on that. Forget about yourself and what you
Sure.
think is great and
Sure.
focus on your audience.
Yeah, because I think that's where, we're really close to things, right? Like
Right.
us as the media guys, like we're really close. So like we understand something. Also, like let's say one of the, healthcare physicians or whatever you might work with,
Right.
right? They're really close to whatever it is that they're doing. So in their head, whatever they're saying makes sense. But it
Right.
doesn't always make sense to who they're ultimately trying to talk to. And I do agree with you that I think it can quickly get lost when it's kind of like a fast track, right? I do it a lot with,
Yeah.
some of you guys over in the program, right? Where it's kind of like I have to slow myself down a little bit and think like, well, okay, I don't know exactly how much this person knows up
Right.
into this point, right? So I catch myself in doing that a ton myself. But, you know, the two biggest places, if we're talking about maybe ads or content, like general social media content or something like that. The two biggest places of focus and emphasis that I think most people can and should start with would be the beginning and the end, right? So our hook, right at the
Mhm.
beginning, what is the reason that somebody should watch this video or this piece of content? And then at the end, what are we telling them to do, or what should they get out of it, or what should that next step look like? And too often in my experience, I just see, and again, I always use service businesses as an example because that's kind of
Right.
just if you offer a service, that's who I help. But reach out, give us a call. But there's no phone number or there's no like interactivity within that thing. And
Details.
yeah, and even so, like you could put your phone number on the screen, right? But
Right.
how many people are actually going to leave the app, go to the
Yeah.
phone, and actually call? So that's why I believe like the end and your call to action, it should be easy, like one click easy for people to be able to do
Right.
because what's next for them? The dopamine scroll, right? It's not the thing that you just told them to do
Yeah.
most of the time. But if we make it super easy for them, that's when we usually uh see good results there. But tell me in your opinion how you think, let's talk about the beginning of it, so the hooks, right?
Mhm.
What do you go through or what do you think about when you have to create a hook? Because hooks are different, right? Depending on if it's is it a long form? Is it a short form? What
Right.
what is it? Like, but what do you go through when you're thinking about like, okay, how am I gonna get people interested in watching this thing?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I always think of first is, what's some sort of declarative statement or something, a strong opinion, something that is really going to catch people's attention and draw them in, and it's sometimes it can be posing a question to people,
Mm,
but just what is something that is going to grab their attention and make them want to continue watching. And I have often found if you have a strong opinion about something or you can make some sort of a strong declarative statement of some sort, that grabs people's attention. And so depending on, what type of business you have and, what some of the things are that you do, finding a hook like that where it's like, hey, I really believe in this, and being able to start with that and grab people with that is always a good thing to do.